are grateful to all of you who have gathered here this day, and also greet those who are joining us via live stream to pay tribute to a remarkable woman and to help our dear bereaved move forward, we pray, on the pathway of healing, for they have certainly suffered a very grievous loss. And at this time, we extend to our bereaved, to Rick, to Asher with Alex, to Tuck with Joyce, to Miles, recalling Dick of blessed memory. We hope that what we do this day will be a source of additional comfort and blessing to you. Please know Laura is within our hearts and will always be a loving touch in all that we undertake. We begin with the special psalm, Essa Enai. Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Whence shall my help come? My help comes from the Eternal One who made heaven and earth. God will not let your foot slip. The Eternal One who guards you will not slumber. Behold, the one who guards Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun will not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. God will guard your life. The Lord will guard you in your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. El Shaddai, Almighty God of the living and the dead, send comfort to your children who this day grieve. Overcome by pain of loss, they need your help to focus on the triumphs and the joys in Laura Kinyon's life. Help them to meet grief with courage, to face sorrow undaunted. Help them to treasure what is now theirs because Laura has lived. Should despair threaten or faith falter, sustain us all, Eternal One, for you are our refuge and our strength, our ever-present help in troubled times. And let us say, Amen. To help us to understand, to treasure all the more who Laura Kinyon was, what impact she had on so many lives, we are privileged this day to hear from dear ones, friends and family who will help us to know on a more deep and profound level truly who Laura was. We first call upon a wonderful friend of Laura's, Jill Polinsky.
From being in Laura's world, I feel that I know many of you personally, but if we have not actually met, I'm Jill Polinsky, one of Laura's closest friends, part of a large circle, clearly evidenced by today's attendance here. I took out my calendar this morning and I noticed that I had theater tickets for May of 2023, with Laura, of course. Sarah Jessica Parker was appearing on Broadway, and she didn't want to miss it, nor did she want inferior seats, so it's booked. A few notes follow on possible New York City restaurants and where the best tables would be in those restaurants. And if I happen to follow through on my plans for a visit to Prague sometime in the near future, Laura has provided me with the best museums and what their visiting hours are. And pack an extra tote bag and the perfect raincoat. I can hear her reminding me of this. It was February of 1995 when I began to attend a new mothers group at the JCC, where I would meet 4 women whose friendship would define the next 26 years of our lives. I was 27 years old. Eric and I became new parents kind of on a whim. Frankly, it seemed like the only interesting thing to do in Avon, Connecticut in 1995. However, on the other hand, Laura at 37 had meticulously planned motherhood, and we all became fast friends as we navigated the unpredictable world of parenting. I think she taught me how to be a grown-up, and I helped her remember how to be spontaneous. That summer of 1995 was first of many summer adventures together as we schlepped our babies to the Berkshires, Old Saybrook beaches, Kathy's pool, music class, Carrie's backyard, and shopping. Being a wife, a mother, and a friend were the cornerstones of Laura's life and where she found her greatest joys. She challenged my ideas of what being a feminist is. She introduced me to fresh cilantro and Ina Garten. Laura provided a model for a woman who made her family her highest priority, but still wanted to keep some piece of her career, as evidenced by her great impact through her mother's social work. There are too many of us to name who were blessed with the friendship of Laura Kinyon, There were the Harrison girls, of course, the moms group, the dance exercise buddies, the Solomon Schechter moms, the Bethel friends, the Avon neighbors, the book group, the Salam sisterhood, the Pittsburgh friends. Laura didn't have a big extended family, so she made her friends her family. Connection was the key, and all of us have connected to each other over the past year during her illness as Team Laura. Her friendship was magical to us. Laura could make an ordinary Tuesday night Mediterranean dinner a celebration of the beginning of summer with the perfect cocktail. A summer day at the lake with lobster rolls called for matching whimsical hats. Hanukkah with brisket and latkes. She was gleefully using her mom's good china. I can still see her running around New York City in fashionable boots, of course, her colorful scarf blowing in the wind, squeezing in a museum visit, lunch, theater, and of course, the treasured dinner with Asher, all in less than a few hours. Asher, we all know how immensely proud of being your mom Laura was. When you were visiting back home in Avon, she planned beautiful home-cooked Shabbat dinners, day trips, and special lunches at Bar Taco. To say she was devoted to you and your needs was an understatement. I know you will miss her incredibly, and you should have had more time, but I know that the tools for life that she instilled in you and the love that she showered upon you for 26 years will give you the solid foundation to go forward successfully. You have many honorary aunties here today. You know who your aunties are, and we will always be with you to celebrate your life. Laura took great comfort in knowing and loving Alex also these past few years. Rick, of course, you always have an open invitation to holidays with many of us who have become family to you. We cannot attempt to fill the void that Laura, your bride of 30 years, has left. We can all only hope that we too would have stepped up to care for our spouses in the way that you have over the past 15 months. Your devotion and dedication was beautiful. Besides the fact that you learned how to cook, manage the household calendar, you also became Laura's voice when her illness robbed her of her ability to text or communicate with the large group of friends. Thank you for sharing Laura with us all of these years. I would be remiss not to mention Marisha, Laura's healthcare aide and confidant over the past year. You came into all of our lives like an angel. Your presence and skills were beyond helpful. We watched you and Laura and Rick share the most intimate moments with grace and a lovely smile. We saw you grow into your role and become more confident. We know that both you and Laura were changed because of the year that you spent together under the most challenging of circumstances. Lastly, what lessons can we, the treasured girlfriends, take from Laura's life? Of course, on a purely practical level, use hair product liberally and do not underestimate the value of a good cut, especially for those of us blessed with thick, beautiful, curly hair, which was Laura's trademark, we all know. More importantly, when you find a rare friend who nourishes your soul, as Laura did for so many of us, share your life fully and intimately in wonderful ways. This friendship will even transcend our short time that we have here on earth. I will forever miss my dear friend Laura, and I know that you join me in knowing that her soul is perpetually dancing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. We are all moved. Thank you so much. Asher.
Gotta collect myself after that one, Jill. Quite a speech. When I think about my mom, one word comes to mind: effervescent. Whether she was humming along to a Debbie Friedman song in the kitchen every Friday night, organizing an outing out with her friends, or meticulously designing a family trip agenda, she was incredibly driven to create memorable moments for those around her. She was the homemade packed lunch with a note kind of mom, the pick-me-up from school even though we lived 5 minutes away kind of mom, the kind of mom that moved heaven and earth itself if it meant seeing me or my dad smile. Her devotion and unyielding enthusiasm for being a part of my life was a constant source of comfort and happiness for me. My mom approached life with an incredible intentionality. Every photo she saved, gift shop t-shirt she bought, or relationship she nourished was deliberate. She found meaning and value in everything and everyone. Just as a lesson can be learned from a bump in the road, a bright spot could always shine a little brighter with an Aperol Spritz, or 3, and maybe a cheese plate. This relentless drive to connect with others, to selflessly donate her time and energy, and to be the gravity around which communities flourished is what I admired most about her. Though I will miss her deeply, I will proudly uphold her values, her Jewish identity, and her zest for life. I'm eternally grateful to have been her son.
Thank you, Asher. And Miles, Laura's nephew.
You'll have to forgive me for having my thoughts on my phone, as any good millennial does. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words, Asher. I think that for most of us, the list of people in our lives with whom the love is truly unconditional is relatively short. My Aunt Laura was one of those people in mine. In thinking about how to illustrate some of the sentiment I wanted to share, a place rather than an instant sticks out in my memory. That place is the guest bedroom at 62 Kingsbridge. When Asher and I were growing up, there were 2 twin beds in there that must have been imported from the clouds. We'd wake up with the sunlight reaching its way in, or in the winter bouncing off of fresh snow fallen overnight, usually us having stayed up just a little bit too late, cracking each other up, as boys do. My aunt was the gatekeeper, the curator of the joy of visits that started with waking up in that room. Trips for a few days or a weekend as a kid, or for Thanksgiving, or later for Passover, my making the drive over from college in Boston. The room sticks in my mind as a symbol for the comforts of her company and her role in my life as a provider of that unconditional love. As someone with whom I can share my greatest triumphs or my hardest challenges and come out okay on the other side. And in the last year or so, I've come to learn that to some degree she served a measure of that role in many people's lives. Professionally, as an organizer of friends and congregants, and of course as a parent. Now, as I look back over the course of the last few recent months, and as communication with Laura receded into a more spiritual place, I of course feel incredible pangs of nostalgia. But I've been working to let go of the idea of the time spent with her being enough. It will never be enough. And that, ultimately, is okay. I walk out of here today absent one of the few sacred people in my life who are a source of that unconditional love. But at the same time, I recognize that I will leave with a model in my aunt of how to give that love back to the world. And in that way, she really won't ever be gone. Thank you.
Miles, thank you. So beautiful. Laura's brother, Tuck.
Morning, everybody. great American poet and Nobel laureate, once wrote to offer guidance to his child on how to live a good life. In honor of Laura's life, here's Bob Dylan's Forever Young. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the lights surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright, and be strong. May you stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart always be joyful, and may your song always be sung. And may you stay forever young, forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young.
Thank you, Tuck. Thank you. And Rick.
Last evening, I was recalling Macbeth's cry, out, out, brief candle. For Laura, life was too brief. She had so much more that she wanted to do. More travel, practicing her new adventure of tap dancing, the summer's concert at Tanglewood, Jacob's Pillow, and being with friends at the Simsbury concerts. Laura was planning on expanding her mother circles. She looked forward, of course, oh so much. To holding her future grandchildren. It was way too brief. Laura did not experience Macbeth's life as a walking shadow of meaningless habits and actions. You who know her knew that she avoided the dark side on purpose. Life for her had value if lived with optimism, interest in others, being with friends, and trying to do the right thing when faced with very difficult decisions. Many of you know that she was happiest when looking forward to an adventure, a meeting with a friend, or Asher visiting home. She embraced life, not as if she was Macbeth's idiot, actor strutting on the stage in a meaningless behavior, but as a blessed gift to be enjoyed. She joined her Jewish and Muslim sisters to learn more. She traveled alone to Israel to share it with Asher's Alex and to be with one of her best friends, Anne. New plays on Broadway, new foods to try, new interests like Mahjong, more courses on Jewish history and Torah wisdom and values. As my son expressed last week or this week, our Laura lived with intent. She made her life by shaping it, sometimes with aggression. Her last 14 months, some of which was mostly bedridden, I learned what courage was. I thought I learned courage in Vietnam, but through Laura I learned courage, of perseverance, of optimism, even though on some level she knew what was ahead. Her attachment to life was to the very end. Attachment to you all, her friends, those who are here, those who are watching. She left too soon, but I can safely report it was not by choice. She loved life. Today is our 30th wedding anniversary. She would have smiled at this coincidence. Laura loved coincidence. Spotting, highlighting it, discussing what she found as a coincidence. It was like evidence of a demonstration that life had order and a guiding hand. She will be with us all now in memory, smiling, and with that slight grin and chuckle. We will miss you so much, Violetta.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you to everyone who has shared words with us this day. It's clear that there are not nearly enough words to even begin to capture the beauty and wonder of her remarkable soul. To invoke the name of the book by Arthur Koestler, today is Darkness at Noon. We mark a life taken far too early in the very sunshine of her existence. The agony of that realization seizes our hearts with grief. But the meaning of her life, I hope a comforting meaning, is embodied by a different title, which is, it is Hanukkah in May. Of course, this is not winter, but the first line of the Torah reading of this week, and talk about coincidences, Rick. The first line of this week is read on Hanukkah, and it embodies, in my mind, who Laura was. States Torah, when you light the candles in the sanctuary, this is how you will do so. But the Hebrew in that phrase is unique. It doesn't say really to kindle lights. It says, ba'alotcha, when you lift up the light. Rick and others have characterized this vivacious, caring woman as a pulsating bright light. But we all know she did not only possess an inner flame, she shared it so far and wide that she lifted up her own light in order that others would enjoy the elevation of their radiance as well. With family, with friendships, wherever she went, mother's circle, grandparents' circle, St. Louis and Pittsburgh and Sarasota and Paris and Israel, Connecticut, beyond, lover of dance and music, devoted counselor, chief organizer, and so much more. Life was a constantly growing flame, an illumination of so much love and so much hope. Knowing Laura, Rick, and Asher over much of the past 29 years has been a unique honor. Here at Bethel, in the community through Solomon Schechter, where Asher was a student, and these past 15 months, her painful journey through illness, her struggle for hope and dignity. I was privileged to spend quite a bit of time with her during this final chapter in her life. Just before Laura became ill, she attended a Shabbat weekend here at Bethel, led by Rabbi Alana Zayman, which featured Rabbi Zayman's book, The Forever Letter. Laura loved that book, a book about engaging an age-old Jewish tradition of composing an ethical will, a letter, a forever letter that one leaves for loved ones as an inheritance, not of property or material wealth, but of spiritual and ethical wishes. It's all about leaving one's deepest hopes and most noble ambitions, most cherished and eternal desires, specifically with those that one loves the most. For a number of reasons, Laura never had the opportunity to formally write that letter. We talked a great deal about what might go into that letter, about what mattered to her the most, the things that she loved in life, her unflagging love of family, of music, of opera, music of the 70s and everything about the 70s, how she and Rick were quite different but made a very complete and special package. Missouri meets Westchester. How she saw life as an opportunity for doing everything she could to experience, to taste, to travel, and absorb the beauty wherever it could be found. That life was supposed to be about living with energy, with vitality, and with sharing, and how friends are central to it all. We talked about Jewish ideas, the centrality of the Sabbath, and what it has to teach anyone of any tradition who could benefit from a day of withdrawal from the material world in order to create a more centered self. And we talked a lot about Jewish notions of an afterlife, in the sense that what we see before us is like a pair of overly narrow brackets, parentheses, that indeed, life indeed continues even beyond our capacity to see this world. And I hope that brought her some comfort. We spoke about the social work profession in a sense that you can't only look at individual history and challenges of coping, but you always need to see the system, family, person, environment. As Laura said, you push one button in the system and really important things can change for just about everybody. She loved the word really. I felt like I was back in the classroom when we spoke about these things, and I think she's right. And sometimes we were very serious. Sometimes there were tears from us both. Sometimes we chuckled, and sometimes there was just silence, the clicking of the ice cubes from the water that Marisha would bring us both. Through it all, it was vintage Laura, curious about you, the other person there, and not afraid to make suggestions, very clear, strongly worded suggestions, including what Netflix movies we ought to be watching in our home. Laura could not compose her forever letter. I think of our coming together today as an act of collaboration, helping to write this final chapter in the story of her life. And I think if we were to take it all together, she would say something like this: I'm infuriated by what happened to me, the terrible unfairness, all of the things I've been looking forward to that I will never see. I am strong and I am stubborn, but I couldn't beat this. But I hope that you will take in and do some of the things that I have learned. Make peace wherever and whenever you can. And know that you, Rick, and Asher were unbelievable gifts, and I gave you my very best. The gratitude I feel in meeting you, Rick, from such a different world from mine is overflowing. And you, Asher, the pride, the incredible pride as you've grown and taken charge of your life. It's a remarkable thing to see. Not that I didn't try to influence your direction from time to time, ha ha. And Alex with you, precious and wonderful Alex. And everyone should know how important Judaism was to me. Baking for Shabbat and Friday night meals and going to services. She would always sit back in that corner where some other Bethel friends are right now. Learning and always learning more. There's never an end to learning, she would say. To community, to helping each other and really making sure that those who hurt get help. To family and friends, I hope you know how precious all of you are to me as we have tried to be there for each other. I'm grateful for all the meetings and the support. I wish there were a lot more nights out at the restaurants we all love but couldn't take advantage of because of the pandemic and, well, my situation. But you keep going out and enjoying each other, and you build from each other. And to those I try to help along the way in my professional life, I hope it helped to build strength within you to go forward professionally and personally. To Mother Circle participants, I have tried to bring to you not just information, but the spark of love I have for Judaism. Please know I think of you as heroes. You are not only bringing Jewish values and actions to your family, you are bringing a remarkable stability, a beautiful thing in a very crazy world. I am very proud to have been a part of that, she would say. Everyone, I am so grateful to you. I hope that your lives are a little bit better because you and I came into contact with each other. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And I think if I were to write a letter back to Laura, it would read this way. Our dear, wonderful friend, knowing you for most of these past 29 years has been an incredible honor. Seeing you here in this sanctuary, in our backyard at a congregational Sukkot gathering, in someone's home for a mother's circle coming together, everywhere you brought such life, and we miss you now already more than any words can possibly say. And I would conclude, if we are lucky in this world, we come across sparks of inspiration from time to time. Sometimes someone will kindle a little flame. Laura, our dear friend, you elevated the light of countless people. For that and for so much more, we will always treasure and love you. And know that through the pain we now feel, there's also never-ending gratitude, because knowing you has been one of the greatest blessings we can imagine. May her memory endure for a blessing. Please rise, friends, for the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that Laura performed in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Interment will take place at the Bethel Temple Cemetery in Avon, and there will be a Shiva gathering at the Kinyon Family Home, 62 Kingsbridge in Avon. A service will be held this evening at 7 p.m. Outdoors, so that we can gather in a safe and appropriate way. Again, 7 p.m. tonight.